Hello and welcome to Cereal at Midnight. My name is Heath, and this is our monthly spotlight on Kino Lorber and Kino Lorber's partner label releases. This is going to cover the month of April 2023. But full disclosure, in the past when I've made these videos, I had everything from that month from Kino Lorber. That is not the case here. There was a box that has yet to make its way to me, and I have maybe half of what's coming out in April, but it's still a ton of stuff. So I decided to go ahead and just go ahead with what I've got here, and we'll circle back for the rest of it in a future video. Because as I'm recording this, April's almost over. It may actually be over by the time you see this. So let's talk about what we have on hand, and we'll cover the rest in a future video. Thanks to Kino Lorber. Thanks to you guys for making this video series a huge success. One of the most popular things that I do here at the channel. We're going to kick it off with a release that's not April. This is a previous month, and I didn't have it on hand until April. Rawhead Rex on 4K. So this is a great horror movie, sort of a folk horror movie based on a Clive Barker screenplay and story, and it's really freaky. There's something about this that always freaks me out because it's not using CGI. The monster, Rawhead Rex, is it's a suit. It's a guy in a suit, but it's a really great suit, and the mask is mechanical and animatronic. Really well done. And I've always had a soft spot for this movie because it's really, I don't know, folk horror, and it's a time in 1986, right? Yeah, 1986. So it's pre, CGI doing, all the things that CGI would later do. It's got the fingerprints that I like. So this is the 4K Blu-ray combo pack that has just been released, and I do actually have on hand, by the way, this does have a reversible art sleeve inside with this alternate artwork. But I have the previous Kino Lorber Blu-ray of Rawhead Rex. This is sort of a special edition version that has a booklet inside. And so I thought, rather than do a really lengthy breakdown, I'll just hold them up and you can compare notes yourself. So this is the 4K, this is the Blu-ray. And maybe I'll circle back around in the coming days, weeks, months, hopefully not months, and do a full 4K review for this, because I do like this movie, and I like doing actual 4K reviews when I have the chance to do them. 4K movie reviews, which, as you notice, are always my 4K movie reviews allow me to just talk about movies. We do talk about the 4K specs and all, how it looks and all that stuff, but I get a chance to geek out about the movie. So I should do that for Rawhead Rex. I should also do that for 12 Angry Men on 4K. This is a stone cold classic, you guys. This is directed by Sidney Lumet. I think this is his first film. And it's timeless because it's about a jury. What year is this? 1957. It's about a jury deliberating on a verdict. And it's the process about what happens in that jury room. And it's a study on human nature. And because people don't change, this movie remains really relevant, right? It was relevant in 1957. They showed it to me in high school back in the 90s. We watched this. I don't remember what class it was for, but they showed this to us for look at people. This is this is a study in human nature. So this is the new 4K edition. It has a special features Blu-ray, notably no Blu-ray copy here. Special features Blu-ray, no alternate artwork here. I say that, yeah, no alternate artwork. Lots and lots of here. I'll hold that up. You can read the special features. Hopefully we'll be circling back around for a 4K review on this as well. By the way, some people are like, well, why would you say hopefully? Well, because so much comes in. I'm still reviewing or talking about with you guys. I'm still covering in video form 100 releases a month. So there's only so much time that I have at my disposal. So I do want to do that. Here we have a second copy of this that was sent by Kino Lorber, and we're going to give it away to one of you guys. I will probably do a contest for this on Instagram. I was debating Twitter or Instagram. If you're like, why not YouTube? Because every time I do a contest on YouTube, the winner never responds. I go, hey, blah, 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 you won. I never hear from them. So Instagram, I can directly message that person. So probably do it on Instagram. Keep your eyes peeled to Cereal at Midnight's social media links, because this is going to go up probably around the same time this video goes up. So, by the way, always check the video description for these videos, because there's all your relevant links. the websites, the social media platforms, all that's going to be in the description of every video. So that's if you want to know where Cereal at Midnight is on Instagram, just scroll down and there you go. Steve McQueen, Hell is for Heroes. This is I'm trying to remember if this is a re-release, not a re-release from Kino Lorber, but from another company, because we've got a few here that have had Blu-ray releases from other people. Mill Creek Entertainment, I think. Did Mill Creek ever put Hell is for Heroes out? I should check on that. Anyway, Bob Darin. Bob Darin. I like Bob Darin. Bobby Darin, Fess Parker of Steve McQueen, of course, is directed by Mr. Donald Siegel. It's a brand new HD master from 4K scan of the original 35mm original camera negatives. What a mouthful. And we have an audio commentary by filmmaker historian Steve Mitchell and Combat Films American Realism author Stephen J. Rubin. There is no additional artwork here. I'm trying to go kind of fast on these because there's so much ground to cover here. They came to Cordura. Excellent Western with Gary Cooper, Rita Hayworth, who's always radiant, Van Heflin, Tab Hunter, Dick York, not listed here. Dick York is in this movie. This is the film, if you're a Bewitched fan. Dick York, Darren #1 on Bewitched. This is the movie where he hurt his back, and that would ultimately lead to him basically leaving Bewitched and never quite regaining his career. Like, it pretty much was the beginning of the end for Dick York. There's a scene in this movie. I don't even think it's in the movie. It's kind of... I don't even think the scene... So he was holding... There's a scene where they're like... on the railroad, you have the thing that you want two people on each side, and you kind of crank it, and it goes down the railroad track. My understanding is that he was holding one end of it, and someone else was holding the other end, and like somebody let go, and it ended up pulling him up like this, and it tore his back. And it bothered him for years. This 1959. So you talk about Bewitched, well into the 60s, and I think he was Darren until it was the late 60s. But this is where the injury happened. If you're a pop culture fan who just likes to know those interesting details, but it's a really good movie. I've reviewed it. I think there's a review for this at CerealAtMidnite.com, but I may be thinking of my previous video coverage for this. And The Big Easy is also one that I believe had a Blu-ray from Mill Creek. I believe I have that Blu-ray. Very sexy movie with Dennis Quaid and Ellen Barkin. And I remember this from my days when I was working the video counter, when I worked at my video rental counter at a grocery store. And this was always... I feel like this was popular, and like how like certain VHS covers would just, because this was the VHS days, certain video covers would just like get your attention. This was one of the ones that always got people's attention, and I feel like it was a popular checkout if I remember correctly. So we've got did this have introduction by filmmaker, film historian Bertrand Tavernier, and this has audio commentary by director Jim McBride, moderated by filmmaker Douglas Husdale, and the trailer. What year is this? 87. I was thinking it was like 91. Oh, you guys, this is my heart right here. Film Noir, The Dark Side of Cinema 12. If you're paying attention to the Cereal at Midnight website, which I hope you are, I've already reviewed 2 of the 3 films in this box set. I've reviewed, let's see, let's get him out of here. I reviewed Undertow, which is directed by William Castle. And if you only know William Castle from his schlock, so we love the schlock. That's not a judgment. But if you only know him from his gimmicky horror movies and, the things that he would do to get more attention on his films, this is a different William Castle. I mean, it's the same guy, but it's a different approach. This is a really solid noir film. I don't want to see go check out. I'm going to link to my review in the description of this video. Remember, always check the video description. See my review for Undertow and also my review for Outside the Wall, which is a fantastic film noir directed by Crane Wilbur and starring Richard Basehart, who we noir fans know from He Walked by Night, and repeat performance, which we kind of all just discovered again for the first time. Was that last year or 2 years ago? It was found and restored, and Eddie Muller kind of brought that back to life via Flickr Alley. And And it's got a speaking role by Joseph Pevney, who directed a ton of these Universal Studio pictures in the 50s, and then would go to television and do like Star Trek and like Bonanza, and all, like tons of, like, you've watched a lot of Joseph Pevney. You just maybe didn't realize that it was Joseph Pevney directing. So these are the two that I've reviewed, and I still have Hold Back Tomorrow in my queue. By the way, these all come from brand new 2K Masters, and they look great. I am so thrilled. What did Frank tell us when I talked to him the second time? I think he said they have plans up through, was it 17? I know that they've announced through 15. I think he said they have enough for 17, and then they're going to take a break, is what he said. So we've got a lot of film noir in the future. A lot of these come from the Universal vaults, and I am there for it. I love it. These are the kind of studio pictures that have fallen off the radar, because a lot of them never had DVD releases. So it was VHS. Maybe you saw them on television in the 80s or the 90s. You maybe saw them on VHS, but you didn't see them on DVD. And now we're getting them with these brand new restorations. Also from the Universal Archives, Search for Beauty is a... by the way, somebody's going to call me out on this. It's a Paramount picture, but it's from the Universal Archives, because Universal owns all these old Paramount movies. When these are licensed for distribution, they come from Universal. So I do know, I feel like I have to constantly prove my work. Like, I know that these are Paramount, for like Universal has a deal with, they bought, in the early days of TV, they bought, I think it was like 600 movies. It was like the bulk of the Paramount catalog up to that point of films, and they took those over, and they've controlled them now for 70 years. So I do know that this is a Paramount film, but it comes from Universal. And the brand new 2K Master 2K scan of the 35mm fine grain was likely done by Universal. So this is a movie I'm really interested in. This is honestly one of the ones that I'm most interested in. Larry Buster Crabbe, Flash Gordon himself, though he had not been Flash Gordon yet. You know, Buster Crabbe was an award-winning, like, it was an Olympic swimmer, like an athlete, and then he transitioned into these Hollywood roles, and then, you know, Flash Gordon, and then eventually like tons and tons of westerns, which is another soft spot for me. You know, Ida Lupino, Robert Armstrong, James Gleason, and Roscoe Carnes. I'm just because I love Buster Crabbe and Ida Lupino, I'm really interested in this. It's a 1934, I believe it's pre-code. You know, the middle of 1934 is the cutoff for pre-code, because that's when they really, like summer 1934 is when they really started to enforce the Hays Code, the production code. Audio commentary by Lee Gambon and Emma Westwood. That's going to be good, because I know that they're going to have a great time with this movie. And I don't know, I'm really excited about this. Let's see. I think the rest of these are kind of in no particular order. This is a French film, Man on the Train. And I don't know a whole lot about it. So rather than me sit here and, like, you know, just talk and talk, I'll hold it up and you can freeze it and you can read it for yourself. Because, you know, a lot of these movies that we're going to talk about here they're deep cuts. They're not 12 Angry Men, we know, you know, and Rawhead Rex, a lot of us know. But some of these movies are being seen for the first time in decades. Mervyn LeRoy's Moment to Moment, Gene Seberg, and Honor Blackman from James Bond. I won't say her character's name because YouTube might not like that, but we know who I'm talking about. Miss Galore. So this brand new 2K Master, also from Universal, and is there anything else I want to tell you about this? Here, I'll just hold this up. I'm really curious about this one, The Truth About Spring. It's Hayley Mills and her father, John Mills, in I don't know, they just say it's a swashbuckling romp, The Truth About Spring. So it's got a lot of, it also sounds like it takes like a romantic comedy vibe, but we'll see. I like Hayley Mills. This is 1965. So I guess this is after Parent Trap, right? That's a little bit after Parent Trap. Oh, James MacArthur too, by the way. Here's another one that I'm really curious about. I mean, I'm curious about a lot of these, but some of these speak my language more than others. Like this one, The Mississippi Gambler, Tyrone Power, Piper Laurie. They're all going to laugh at you. Piper Laurie, I always like to point out, like so many of these people we know from horror movies later. People watching this video, there are going to be a lot of you guys who only know Piper Laurie from Carrie, right? But she was a Universal contract player in the 50s. and was in movies with Tony Curtis. I'm sorry, Tony Curtis, and with so many other people, and really just a great star, a studio star of that system, of the studio system. So this is one I have not seen. Julia Adams is in this as well, and I'm really excited to discover this. This is really the stuff that I get the most excited about. The Truth About Spring, Search for Beauty. It's deep cuts from a studio catalog that aren't being talked about. Some of them may be cult hits, but they're probably not even cult hits because most people don't even know about them because they haven't been on the table until now. So this is a brand new 2K master. Tyrone Power is fantastic in everything I've ever seen him in. Audio commentary by Toby Roan. We're getting into the independent stuff here, the partner label stuff. This is a Cohen Film. What do they say? Cohen Film Collection. It's French. Okay. It's a musical, is what it comes down to. It's up, down, fragile. They say it's inspired by the backstage Hollywood musicals of the 1930s. This later period revette recounts the adventures of three young women. Anyway, it's a music, they're each at a turning point in their life and with a musical number or two. So it says, like the pull quote here by the LA Times, the antithesis of the slick Hollywood musical, graceful. So I'm like, okay. So I was really interested in this. I was like, whoa. Like a musical from, like a French musical from, what year is this? 1995. Then I saw that it's 2 hours and 50 minutes long. And I was like, oh, hold on a second. I'm a little less excited about it. That's a long time for anything that's a long time for any movie. It's especially a long time for like a lighthearted existential romp, is what the New York Times says. That's an almost 3 hour light existential romp. But I'm gonna check it out, guys. This is, I love my music and I love things that, I don't know, this feels interestingly quirky. So I'm curious to check this out. I'm also curious about this one. This is called Virtual Reality, and this comes from Artsploitation Films. This is I think it's new. 2021 copyright, packaging 2023 Kino Lorber. They really got me with the cover, but the back doesn't necessarily look like the front cover does. It looks like it's going to be a fairly, I don't know. It looks clearly shot on digital, right? But it just looks almost Blair Witchy, kind of, by those screenshots. But I don't know. We'll find out together. A film director agrees to a dark pact to make his career take off. When he summons the cast and crew to his house for a first cut screening, they will have to survive a reality they never saw coming. So clearly horror, clearly indie, clearly a great cover. Who's seen it? Has anybody seen it? I'm not familiar with it. So I think it's a Spanish film. It's in Spanish with optional English subtitles. It doesn't say the country of origin, so it could be lots of different places. All right, this is I think these are silents. Yeah, this is Oh Doctor and Poker Faces, two comedies directed by Harry A. Pollard from the Universal Archives. These are true Universal films because Carl Laemmle produced both of these, or presents both of these. I'm looking for the years, guys. I don't see. Oh, hold on. Oh, it's in Roman numerals. 1924 and 1926. 1924 and 1926. Look at the screenshots. I mean, these are clearly silent films. But Oh Doctor is 66 minutes. Poker Faces is 83 minutes. An inspiration on Lady Gaga? Probably not, but you never know. Bonus features have an audio commentary for Oh Doctor and Poker Faces by Adam Naiman, a film critic, teacher, and author based in Toronto. Yeah, looks like that's... Is there anything else? Yeah. More silent goodness, you guys. The Trap with Lon Chaney. Lon Chaney Sr., the man of 1,000 faces. This cover looks a lot like... Does anybody remember the cover of the Joe Pesci movie? What's it called? It's the one where he's the journalist. Is it The Public Eye? What's the name of that movie where he's the newspaper guy? Anyway, he looks like Joe Pesci to me. I'm getting real Pesci vibes here. But of course, it's Lon Chaney, who didn't really look like Joe Pesci. It's just the way he looks in this. He Phantom of the Opera. How far do we go? Lon Chaney, the legend, right? The Trap is a grand story. And by the way, this is a silent film from 1922. The Trap is a grand story of romance and betrayal that includes the first starring role of the legendary Man of a Thousand Faces, Lon Chaney. He plays Gaspard, a French-Canadian trapper whose beloved Thalie has throws him over for Benson, the scoundrel who Okay. Read it, freeze it, check it out. We are bringing this one in at under half an hour. I'm really excited about that because the shorter the video, the more people are going to watch it. I, Mordecai, Judd Hirsch, Carol Kane, Taxi Reunion. Sean Astin, Stephanie J. Block, Azia Denea Hale. Anyway, a film by Marvin Samel. The premise of this is Judd Hirsch is says Academy Award nominee Judd Hirsch is given a new, he's a Holocaust survivor. Mordecai, a Holocaust survivor, is given a new iPhone, and unexpected of series events upends his world. A heartwarming Miami set comedy based on a true story. Co-starring Sean Astin, the Academy Award nominee Carol Kane. So I don't know. It's a DVD. Obviously, this is not a Blu-ray, but I'm curious. I gotta admit, I'm real curious. I'm a huge Taxi fan. We are a Taxi house. My wife and I, we both love Taxi, and that connection alone. Judd Hirsch is fantastic. So is Carol Kane. Charlotte Rampling in Juniper. This is another one that is DVD, but Charlotte Rampling is great. Let's see. This is Greenwich Entertainment Films. Ruth, Oscar-nominated Charlotte Rampling, is a worldly former war correspondent now bored in retirement with a drinking problem and a newly fractured leg. Sam, George Ferrier, is her unruly grandson, recently kicked out of boarding school and grieving the death of his mother. When the two are brought together under the same roof, they form an unexpected bond. I feel good already. How about you guys? And last but not least, a documentary about scrap metal. Let's see. A beautifully filmed elegy on the metals we discard and their innate capacity for renewal and transformation. So this is going to be it's interesting, like everything gets a documentary now. Like every movie gets a documentary eventually, but also every subject matter gets a documentary. It's actually pretty cool because this is the kind of thing that interests me. I'm not interested in all of these, just to be honest with you guys. Like a lot of times we talk about stuff and I'm like, well, it's a documentary about, like whatever. This is interesting to me because I just think that, I look at the back cover. Here's this old car. And then this guy's working with metal. Like, well, some of these really, they're surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, they're very, like, they make you feel things. Like, I'll reference the one about the automat again with Mel Brooks, where he's just reminiscing about the automat. Like, it's really human. And just hearing him talk about something that he remembers. Like, I don't know, these are able to tap into things that say something about who we are, maybe. I like that. Art always says something about who we are. Art is, what is the phrase? Art is both a window and a mirror. You can look through it and you can also be reflected back on it. All right, this is Kino Lorber that we've got on hand. There's more coming. There will be more hopefully soon. We'll do like the part 2 for this. But this is what you need to know for April. What are you picking up? What did you pick up? What have you checked out from this this release wave? Let's talk about it in the comments below. Thank you guys. I appreciate you. Take care. Until next time, I will catch you later.